Okay, Nick, Andy, massive game in the Champions League this week. Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Two of the favourites to win the entire competition colliding. Harry Kane going back to North London. The storylines are swirling, Nick Mendola, and I'm really intrigued to see this game because I think both teams, given their great start to this competition, can kind of go out there and express themselves and put down a bit of a marker and a statement for how serious they are about winning the whole thing. But very different styles of football in certain ways as well. So this is going to be a really intriguing tactical battle, I think, all over the pitch.
It will. And much like the derby at the weekend for Arsenal, I have a lot of fears that this isn't coming at the right time for them. Bayern are very, very, very good. Harry Kane is like at peak full, like it's Erling Haaland aged 10 years with health and wisdom. Like Kane is doing ridiculous things, and there's this level of he's outthinking you too. He's in the perfect age. This is his prime. And I don't know. I mean, it's probably not popular to say given how good Arsenal is, but I really fear for them as a little bit of a, I don't want to say litmus test, but potentially lack of a statement game here, or a result that makes us question exactly who they are.
Yeah, I think we've had questions so far about Arsenal this season, Andy, and every time we've had that, they've answered it right emphatically. Where players have come in that there's been a lot of injuries, so you have players stepping in who you wouldn't have thought would come right in. But Mosquera, others have seamlessly slotted in whenever needed. But there's going to be a lot of rotation, it feels like, this week because North London derby, then Bayern Munich, and then, you go to Chelsea at the weekend within the space of 7 days. That is a lot of big games for Arsenal. And given all their injury issues they have at the moment and players just coming back and maybe not ready for 90 minutes, it's going to take a lot for Arteta to, rotate around and be up for it for these 3 games in terms of their peak physical condition. But he's done well at that this season, right? I think that's the one thing we can pat him on the back for, that compared to previous seasons, he's rotated a bit better this season and just been a bit unlucky with injuries. So, what do you think? I do think as well, this is not the best time for Arsenal to play Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit on the done better this season with the rotating the team. And I do think it's why a lot of the injuries are all hitting kind of at the same time. And they all seem to be muscular injuries. And right before this very, very busy period of the season. I understand as a coach, obviously you want your best players out there. That's the reason that you signed them. You built the team around them. You have success with them and all that. But you have a squad for a reason. And I do think this is where Premier League teams are up against a little bit of a disadvantage against some teams from other leagues around Europe. And when it comes to the Champions League is, teams 1 through 16, 17 in the Premier League can beat you every single week. And in, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that are a real threat to you. And then you get a lot of games where you can truly rotate and put some backups out there and put some young players out there and get them experience at a level where they're not going to get completely exposed. And so it's not an easy job. I don't mean to make it sound like that, but I think it is still something that he is figuring out as a coach at the very, very, very top level of the game. Because if he had started at, say, Everton, because he played there as well, I think we would be looking at it very differently. But because he went into his first managerial job at Arsenal, the expectation and the challenge is there right away to, hey, man, you got to be kind of perfect from the start.
Yeah. No, and it's difficult as well, right, in this game, Nick, because he's going against a team who's pretty much been perfect from the start of this season. I mean,
literally,
Company's done a great job in terms of, they won the title, that's great, but then taking them on to the next step and developing different things. Because I watched their win against PSG in Paris. The high press was excellent. I think we talk about his teams about possessing, keeping the ball, but they've added that extra layer of complexity and just, I think they're tricking teams a little bit. And then you give the ball away in those areas, and you've got Harry Kane, Serge Gnabry. Oh yeah, you've also got Luis Diaz coming in and playing really well and scoring and creating and leading that press a lot of the time. So they have a lot of good attacking weapons, right? I think Bayern, you've been impressed with them, but is there any other areas that they can improve or any key areas you see in this game against Arsenal?
Sure. I mean, they have given up a disappointing 13 goals in 17 games. I mean, I'm kidding. You can't, you don't, there's no list of their losses because they haven't yet. And even in the PSG game, remember, Diaz takes a red card somewhere around halftime and they still win. Like they show flex their defensive acumen. 17 games played, 16 wins, 1 draw. So can they get better? Yes, they can win all 17 games. 58 goals, Joe. Like they're averaging over 3 goals a game. And you can say what you will, like the Bundesliga has been a little bit wide open, but like 3-0 Leverkusen, 2-1 Dortmund, 3-1 Chelsea. And if you remember that game, it was 3-1. I don't know. I mean, maybe the only reason you mentioned last time we spoke about Barcelona, what's the reason to say that Barca aren't the favorite? It's that Bayern Munich are. Like this is I don't know. If Bayern win here, I think they become the presumptive favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that. And prediction-wise, I'm going to go with a win for Bayern. I think 2-1. I think Harry Kane's probably going to score a couple and really enjoy it, given being back on the other side of North London that he was used to being on for so many years. Andy, what are you going with, mate?
Yeah, Harry's going to score. I think we all know that at this point. I'll give you a prediction. I'll go 2-1 as well to Bayern. I do have a question, though. How is it, and this is kind of apropos of the week that we're in because of the World Cup qualifying and everything we've talked about this week. Why is it that we have overrated so many English players over the years? So many. And then finally, the greatest English player of all time is somehow criminally underrated. Why is that, Joe?
Because I don't think we know what to do in England if a player is actually better than you're saying that he is. So I think it's the complete opposite trend that is usual. But no, honestly, in the nicest possible way, and I think Harry Kane will be totally fine with saying this, is that he's just boring in that he's so good and so consistent. And I just think that everyone, I heard Roy Keane and Ian Wright speaking about this on the England coverage over here during the international break. He scored twice away in Albania for another win. And all they were thinking about was the late chance he had that just went wide of the post, and it could have been for a hat trick, because it was like, we just expect Harry Kane to score that. It's weird when he doesn't score and go through. So
but
I think the expectation levels are so high now with him that it's just expected, Andy. And I don't think we've ever really been in this position. I think years from now, we will realize how good he is.
Joe, I think you've heard me mention this before when we talk about England. In fact, I've asked you about it. I'll never forget what England as a whole, the way they spoke about Wayne Rooney at the World Cup, where he was the only player that showed up. So that star becomes emblematic of the failure. Doesn't matter how good he is. The U.S. will do this to Christian Pulisic probably. Like it is. And the other part of it, Andy, I might add, because I am a huge Harry Kane fan, it might just be that he's been on Spurs. And, nothing against Spurs.
I'm glad someone other than me said it.
Okay, I didn't know if it was going to be insulting. Yeah, I do think that if this, you're telling me if the numbers he was putting up, he wasn't, doing it as Haaland, in the Haaland role, the way we spoke about him, or Drogba or whoever. Yeah, I think, for me, he's a top 3 player in the world. The way he's selfless, he is boring, but somebody told me this. So sorry for the diverging a little bit, but Nick Voltemade at Newcastle, somebody was telling me, I don't know if he can, if he can be that guy because he drops into the midfield so often. And I said, or he can be Harry Kane. And I don't think this guy, aside from Messi, to me, it's him, man. It is the player of this century. He's fantastic. And for that reason, I'll make your day even better. Bayern 3-1 over Arsenal.
Yeah, Harry Kane. He just does the damn thing. All right, Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest on this massive game between two of the favourites to win the Champions League this season. Let's see how they get on in North London this week.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.